How's it going, guys? Today we are talking about the SNES Classic.
I didn't see this one coming. Like,
yeah, we all knew this was coming.
Yeah.
So the NES Classic, it seems pretty much unanimous that everybody was pretty upset about what happened with that. People were having a really hard time getting the system. Scalpers are now selling it and all that. So it's almost a little bit ridiculous that they are putting out this system without sort of fixing that issue first.
It's really weird. I definitely think that the NES Mini or the NES Classic, the original one, was a great console. I didn't think it had many issues. I mean, it had limited games, but all of the distribution issues and all of the issues with scalpers and all of the supply issues overshadowed the product.
Yeah. Yes, the product was good. I mean, yeah the wires were a little short and it exactly didn't have like all the games you'd want, but it was a pretty good product, and I think it was a good thing. Now, what Nintendo should have done, and what I'm hoping that they will do this time, is it seemed like there was basically a communication issue, I think, because when the NES Classic came out, it seemed like it was a limited release or a holiday item or something like that, where they didn't plan for it to be around forever, and that's fine, but nobody knew that. I didn't know that. When they announced that, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll pick that up at some point. And then the next thing you know, you can't get it. And you still can't get it. So everybody was very upset over this whole situation. So before you even get to the SNES Classic, it's kind of like, well...
why don't they make another print run of those for the people who want them?
I think you need to fix... I think they still need to fix the NES Classic situation. They need to do another run of them so people can get their hands on them. For this one, they need to print up more than 10 of them. Because
I mean, we have 2 of them, so you know,
we got 2.
There's only 8 out there at this point.
So they need to print a lot more of these, or else it's just going to piss people off again. Also, if Nintendo is planning to have this be a limited release item, they need to say that now and say, "Hey, this is just going to be out for a limited time."
You know what I don't get? They had the NES Mini. NES Mini is a smash success. They sold all of them. Literally all of them they sold. Now we're going to the Super Nintendo Mini. By the same token, Nintendo wants to launch this new online service. The processor inside the NES Mini, and I assume the SNES Mini, is powerful enough to handle, going online. It's powerful enough to handle logging in. I feel like they could have turned these products into something like what Sega is unsuccessfully trying to do with the Sega, with the mobile app. What is it called? Sega Forever?
Yeah.
I think that this could have been their Sega Forever, and it could have been something that stuck around a long time, whereas the problems kind of hamstrung it.
So what I can say, let's say some positive things about this. What I have heard is that the wires are apparently longer. So that's
the controller wires.
The controller wires, because for the NES Mini, you had to get the extensions. So I think that that's a little bit ridiculous, and it seems like a little greedy that they make you buy an additional product just so that the cord can reach the TV. That's ridiculous. So the cords will be longer. So if that's true, no complaints there. The list of games is pretty good. It's not perfect. There's some big examples of games that are missing. Namely, there's not going to be any Turtles in Time, and there's not going to be any Chrono Trigger. Now, those are 2 games that I think are absolute SNES classics, and I think it's ridiculous that they're not on there. Now, Turtles in Time, obviously they'd have to get the license for it. Replacing that, Nintendo is releasing Starfox 2.
This is interesting because Starfox 2, developed by Argonaut, was never released. The game was finished, but it was never released. And the reason it was never released was because the N64 was coming out, and Nintendo felt that releasing Starfox 2 would have confused people.
And they had a good Starfox game on the N64.
Well, a lot of what went into Starfox 2 was torn apart and incorporated into Starfox 64. Now, it ended up being a vastly different game because of the different hardware, controller, time, power, all of those things. But it's a shame that we didn't get to see Starfox 2. One thing that really stands out about Starfox 2 is you're starting to see the characters be a little more fleshed out. Like the portraits of the characters looks more like their modern representation than it does in the original Star Fox. It has more open gameplay. It's really cool. But we've never actually played the finished copy, because the copy that you see on ROMs is actually like a bootleg. It's not the final. So I think that's the version. The most exciting thing. That's the part of it that people are most excited about and most talking about. And I do think that is cool that they're putting that out. I think that Star Fox 2 being on the Super Famicom Mini and the Super Nintendo Mini it's good that people get to play and experience it for the first time. I think it's bad because, this should be on Switch. This is a new title. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. This is a new title. It should be on Switch. It's a title that they... well, maybe it will be eventually. Maybe they'll release this, and then once they say, okay, no more SNES Classic after 2 weeks, probably, then they'll announce it for Switch. That's kind of what I'm getting to. It's like you're taking a game that people have wanted for a long time, and you're turning it into... listen, then they can sell it twice. But this console isn't... At the end of the day, if this console is anything like the NES Mini before it, it's a novelty. Would you agree with that? It's not really a game console. Absolutely, it's a novelty. It's a toy. It's like good luck getting your hands on it. Yeah, it's like, and you're gonna take Star Fox 2 and you're gonna release it. And by the way, I have to say, so this is months before this even comes out. The SNES Mini is gonna come out. The SNES Classic is gonna come out September 29th, and we're in the middle of summer. They just announced it already. Day one of them announcing it on eBay. There's already people listing it for hundreds and hundreds of pre-orders for hundreds of dollars. This has to stop. I'm happy that the Switch supply issues seem to be resolved. That's true. But this is like a ongoing problem for Nintendo. I just got the yellow Joy-Cons, the ARMS yellow Joy-Cons. Yeah. They were like gone. Speaking of yellow, I'm wondering if these consoles will yellow within time. That'd be funny. The Super Nintendo. That would be so funny, and everybody's sitting there with the oxygen cleaner trying to get it back in there. So let's go down the list of the games that are included. So there is the games that are going to be released in the U.S., and then there's the Super Famicom games. So in the U.S., we have Contra 3, Alien Wars. Let's talk about them a little bit. Great title. It's a very hard game. I recently played through it. I think that's a great choice. It's a great Contra game. Donkey Kong Country. Great game. I'm a little disappointed that Donkey Kong Country 2 is not on the list. Yeah, a lot of people have said that. I feel like Donkey Kong Country 2 is the best game of the three, and it's especially for the fact they have Mario World and Yoshi's Island. Why not do Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 2? I wonder what their limitations were as to how many games they could have on the system, because this system has less games than the NES Classic did. It has less games, but this is 16-bit. That was 8-bit. But you're telling me they couldn't fit more on there? You could fit every game in the NES library in dozens of megabytes. I think it's more of a licensing issue, and that's why I mentioned before about Ninja Turtles, the fact that they probably would have had to pay a good deal extra to get Turtles in Time on here. But would they have had to pay more to get Donkey Kong Country 2 on here? No, so it's like, why? Where's Pilot Wings? Oh my god, okay. Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings is one of my favorite, and I believe Miyamoto worked on that, so I would think that would have been one of his choices to have. They have F-Zero. They have the launch titles. Pilot Wings is one of my favorite games, and I know that game wasn't like one of the super popular games, but people like that game. Right. That's a good game. That should be on here. The Super Nintendo has one of the best versions of SimCity. SimCity? Where's SimCity? Oh my god. Actually, I didn't think about any of these. Yeah. There's a lot of games that should have been on here. I got one for you. This is half a joke. Right. Mario Paint. Right. Now, everybody loves Mario Paint, so I think you could agree, why would it not be on here? But the thing is, Mario Paint does come with a mouse. But take it from me, a guy who worked on a 6-month project, if there's one Super Nintendo game that needs to be re-released, it's Mario Paint, because that mouse, that Super Nintendo mouse, was not very good. I could spend 10 minutes listing the problems with that mouse,
but that mouse was basically not very good. You're trying to draw with it. If you had a PC, like a modern PC mouse with like a laser, that would be so much better. They could re-release Mario Paint with a better mouse, and there you go. It'd be a better Mario Paint experience. Perfect time to do it, but they're not going to do it.
I think here's one of the problems you run into with this type of console, with this type of like set-top box. Secret of Mana is on this list.
That's a good choice.
Secret of Mana is a 3-player game. They're not putting out a multi-tap on this thing.
I didn't even think of that.
You know, no, it's a 3-player game with an asterisk because you start the game as 1 player, then 2, then 3.
Eventually, though.
But it's still something. Another thing I thought, another peculiarity I saw, on the SNES Classic, you have Street Fighter II Turbo Hyper Fighting, which is the second Street Fighter that was released.
Right.
Because they released Street Fighter, they released Street Fighter II Turbo Hyper Fighting, and then on the Super Famicom Mini, they have Super Street Fighter II New Challengers. So if you're in America and you like Cammy, you like Fei Long, you like T-Hawk, or you like DJ, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Because those 4 characters aren't in this game.
Well, you know what's funny to me? I played the original, which I know it's like much slower, but that was the one I played. But I would have said Street Fighter II Turbo would have been the one to pick. But so you're saying New Challengers would be the one to pick?
Because New Challengers is everything in Street Fighter II Turbo plus 4 more characters. And Cammy, forget about the other 3 characters. Cammy is like a fan favorite character. Right. You know,
are they? Maybe that's sold better. Over there. I'm wondering what the reasoning behind that is.
It's really weird. There's a couple of other things that are very regional about the game lists. Famicom Mini has Super Soccer, which in America we're like, Super Soccer is like Super Tennis bargain basement
it doesn't
title.
Matter. I understand why they have soccer on that.
It makes sense.
For the Super Famicom Mini, they have Fire Emblem. That makes sense.
Which we don't have.
Legend of the Mystical Ninja.
Which is awesome. If you haven't played Legend of the Mystical Ninja, that's a great Konami title.
One of the ones that they're getting that I think that should be on our list too is they're getting Panel de Pon Tetris Attack.
I don't think that's so bad of a loss. Do you want to know why?
Well, I'm going to agree with that because I'm going to say if you're going to play any Tetris, you want to play the NES Tetris, for me personally.
But if you're playing Panel de Pon, so Tetris Attack was a late Super Nintendo title. Mm-hmm. And then Pokemon Puzzle League came out for N64 and was better. But even the N64 Pokemon Puzzle League, if you play that game at a high level, the frame rate just starts to die.
Okay.
Like if you're hitting combo after combo after combo, and that's on the N64.
Right.
The Super Nintendo version of this for like really good players
is not the best.
You want to be on a system that can handle the big combos.
Okay, so I guess not a big loss for us. But let's finish out the list.
It's a good game though.
So we're getting EarthBound. We're getting Final Fantasy III. That's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, so that's a great choice. But where's 2? I like 2 probably just as much as 3.
Yeah.
F-Zero, one of my favorites. Kirby Superstar, Kirby Dream Course, all good. Link to the Past, gotta have that. Mega Man X, Star Fox, like we said, Starfox 2, Street Fighter, Super Castlevania, gotta have that. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's definitely.
That's great. You know, there's... this is one that works because there's 2 players, 2 controllers. You know, you can do battle mode and all that, so that's great. Super Mario RPG, great. Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, and Yoshi's Island. Imagine if they didn't put Super Metroid on there, how much shit they would have gotten.
Oh my gosh.
But it is on there.
There were 3 games they had to have before they branched out, and those 3 games were Mario World, Super Metroid, Link to the Past.
Yeah, you gotta have those. Those are obvious.
Those you don't really get much wiggle room with those 3.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you're getting. I do think that this is a pretty good lineup of games. I don't want to complain too much, but there are some very glaring issues of games that are not on there.
If you look at the original NES Classic, Nintendo put together a good package. It's a nice piece of hardware. It's a nice piece of software. The only problem with it was the controller length. They fixed the controller length problem, and they're doing it again for Super Nintendo. And looking at these list of games, despite the fact that there's ones we'd rather have, this is an awesome collection, and you'd spend a ton of money putting this together. if you were trying to do it yourself.
To buy the original games, absolutely, and especially like if you want them with the boxes or anything like that. The original collection now, Super Nintendo games are very expensive now.
I could see in Nintendo's boardroom somewhere them going and being like, well, the Super Nintendo wasn't quite as popular as the NES, so maybe we need to make less of these, and that is the wrong mentality for this one.
So not only do they need to print more of these than they did of the NES Classic, but they also need to print more of the NES Classic. I don't care that they already said they stopped printing it. They need to reverse that decision, print more of them so people can get their hands on them, and so that people aren't so upset about this whole scalping issue. It's not that hard of a thing to fix. Just print some more.
You know what? Despite the shenanigans with the NES Classic, I'm probably going to buy not only a Super Nintendo Mini, but also Super Famicom Mini.
Well, I know a lot of people...
I think you need both because the shells are different.
The shells are different, and I know a lot of people feel like the Super Famicom was a nice-looking console, and a lot of people don't like how the American version of the console looked with the purple switches and all that. So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I am excited about this. I do think that these are good ideas because, as we said, getting the original games and systems is out of the question for most people because it's too expensive. It's too hard to get. It's very funny that right before they announced the SNES Classic, I was just talking to somebody at Too Many Games convention about the NES Classic, and a couple people were saying to me, well, screw that NES Classic, just get your... Hey, what was wrong with having an NES? Anybody remember the NES? Right. So it's like, you can always go that route too, and I know there's people that feel that way. They say, well, why do you want these like clone console things? Just have a real system. And you know what? I still agree with that to a point. It's like you can always get yourself the original console, but these things are pretty cool.
They are cool. I wonder if this thing, the Retron HD, influenced the price of the Super Nintendo Mini.
What do you mean?
Because, like, what was the NES Mini originally?
You mean the NES Mini?
Well, the NES Classic. How much did that cost?
I forget the price off the top of my head. Wasn't it like $50 or $60?
It wasn't $80.
It was less.
I think it was less. Right? It was $50 or $60. Now they have this in the $40 package, and all of a sudden this thing's $80. It rubs me the wrong way that they're going to be able to put $15 worth of equipment in a little plastic shell, charge $80 for it.
Well, there's a difference here, though. This, they're giving you the games. This, you need to own the games.
You do, yeah.
And that's a big difference in money.
There is a difference, but this is made by, like, a little tiny company,
right,
and that's made by Nintendo.
Right.
Like, Nintendo could probably sell this thing for $50 and make a healthy profit.
I'm sure no matter how many of these fucking things they print, they're going to sell every single one of them.
Right.
Because no matter how many print, they're not going to print them enough. Even if they print 5 times as many of these that they did the NES Classic, they're still all going to sell.
Yeah. I mean, look at how well the...
I think that's the problem we're going to probably run into. Nintendo probably will print more than they did the NES Classic, but they will still all sell out.
Because this is video... To me, this is video games.
I don't disagree with that.
This is video games.
Yeah.
When I think of, like, if I woke up in the morning and somebody was leaning over and was like, what are video games? It'd be like Super Mario World.
Yeah, but you're a guy that's you're playing like the PUBG and all that. And,
but when I'm doing like the word association game, if I'm not like, what are video games? I'm not going to be like, Destiny!
Right.
You know?
You're going to be like Mario.
Yeah. Right? And that's why it has such appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Despite all the little nitpicky things.
Right.
It's like, oh, it's not per pixel and play it on a CRT. This is video games, and that's what makes it a good setup. And that's why, despite the issues, I'm still buying it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get one too if I can get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Are we suckers or what? I'm like legitimately annoyed about the NES Classic, and I'm still like gonna get it on day one.
Day one, sign me up.
We're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, I know, right? They know it too. They know it too. They don't care.
They'll do whatever they want.
Yeah. I wonder if there's gonna be an N64 Mini.
This is an HDMI model N64, and a fan made this and sent it to me. This is what they're gonna have to do: make a miniature version of this. But then we're gonna get into the conversation of what N64 games are going to be on that list. And do you think they're going to do it? Do you think they're going to make after this? That's the next likely thing to go to. The next one would be the N64.
Why wouldn't they do this? Why wouldn't they do this?
Well,
there's the hardware they have can run this. You know what I think is interesting?
Well, that's the question I want to ask you though. These are 16-bit games. Can they do it?
Yeah. The chip inside the NES Classic is like nearly as powerful as a Wii.
What about like GameCube games? Could they make a mini GameCube?
I bet you. I bet you the materials would cost more.
Yeah. And
they'd probably need more like flash memory or whatever storing it, but I certainly think they could.
I think that actually would be really friggin' cool, especially in an era when, we've been talking about Wii and Wii U and people have kind of forgotten about the GameCube because you can play GameCube games on the Wii.
Yeah,
I think it'd be really cool to have a little cube, almost like a little Ouya.
Yeah, Oh, by the way, the Ouya can play all of them, but it's totally useless.
I have an Ouya somewhere around here. You can oh, it's my doorstop. You see it over there?
It actually is, by the way. I want to say something about this mod. So your HDMI mod here. This is a really good HDMI mod. Like the person who did this wasn't messing around.
Yes.
There is a daughter card that's actually in here, down here, that has the HDMI plug on it. And then there is a nice ribbon cable, and it's like very well positioned to go into the board. I've seen mods of this
that weren't,
where it's like a gigantic ribbon cable like this, and it has like all these weird places you have to solder.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. Like, look, it even the daughter card even goes around the 64DD port on the bottom of it.
It was really nice because a fan just sent this to me out of the blue, and it's nice to know that the fans, a fan like that, would want to have our videos look as nice quality like that. So
absolutely.
I've been doing a lot of that, trying to make the video quality as good as it possibly can be, because we used to record things on DVDs, and now we're doing 60 frames per second and all that.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, I brought this out just to have that discussion of that's what's coming next after this SNES Mini, and I think that would be cool.
Christmas 2018. You think it's going to be that fast, or do you think there's going to be a break?
It seems, I don't know.
It
seems like they're going to do it each year. Why wouldn't they? They'd lose money if they didn't.
Yeah.
And also, can you please make it jungle green? I'd like a jungle green one.
I disagree. It should be atomic purple.
N64 was all about, that's when they really got into doing different colors and stuff. Because there wasn't a different color NES or SNES. So it'd be cool if they released different colors.
They're already back to that. I should show you my Joy-Con collection. I have, and I will continue to collect. I'm going to collect every color Joy-Con.
Oh, watch out. They're going to release every hue of the entire spectrum.
Right now I have them all. I have the light blue, the electric blue, I have the red, I have the black, the gray, and I have the yellow.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of them, yeah.
So, and I have little chargers for them that they live in.
Okay, so
anyway,
speaking of the Switch, if you're gonna get onto that, that reminds me of one last thing I want to say. Then because I haven't been following it.
Okay.
What's the announcement? Do you know of what they're doing with releasing games like this on the Switch? Do you know anything about that?
There's going to be a Nintendo service that's delayed that is going to allow you to play games like this. It doesn't have a name.
What I find really weird is that so they released the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo, and then there was the Wii and the Wii U where you could download these games. How many times are we going to re-buy these games? And it's going to get to the point where, what's the next console after that? Are we going to, after we buy them all again on the Switch, are we going to buy them again?
That's why I wanted these consoles to have online play, because I feel like the way it should work, in a perfect world, the way it should work is you should be able to log in to this system with your Nintendo account. Mm-hmm. And when you log into this system with your Nintendo account, it should add all of these games to it.
The way Steam is.
The way Steam is.
Yeah.
And then if I pick up my Switch and I want to play Kirby Superstar, I should have it because I bought this.
I said this a really long time ago about Nintendo and apps and the cell phone and all that, and people shit all over me. But then a couple years later, Nintendo released Mario Run, and a lot of people bought it and downloaded it. Same thing for this situation. Like, Nintendo always seems to be a little bit behind. I think Nintendo needs to suck it up and get themselves on Steam and put all the Nintendo. I mean, you can go on Steam right now and you can get like Sega Genesis collections and you can all kinds of shit like that. You can play. There's an Atari collection. Let's get all the Nintendo games. The Mega Man Legacy collection. I did a live stream of it. Nintendo needs to get all of their old games on Steam. Then we can just buy them once and be done with it.
But why are they going to give Nintendo? Why is Nintendo going to give Valve 30% of their sales?
I'm just saying that's what should happen.
It should be a Steam-like service, and there should be unified friend lists between the phone games like Mario Run and Niantic's Pokemon Go. There should be.
So you're saying Nintendo should have their own Steam?
Yeah, because they don't want to give 30% away.
Well, fine.
That's a shit ton of money.
Fine, then Nintendo needs to do that.
Right, but I shouldn't have to add you to my friends list on my DS, on my Switch, on my cell phone game, on my all of this. You should just be on my friends list.
So you're saying that Atari can't launch their own like Atari Steam?
That'd be great.
It's like you just get like Pitfall and like River Raid.
Well, it's
a whole platform just for those games.
You know what the theme of that platform should be? The theme of that platform should be casino at 3 a.m. You ever walk around a casino at like 3 a.m.?
Oh, I have.
And there's like somebody in the corner like putting...
That's where you find
coins in a slot machine. And like they're just going like... And it smells like smoke.
Yep.
That's the Atari like portal. It's like a guy like vacuuming.
Anybody want to play Pitfall?
That's what it would be like. No, but there's a lot of great Atari games, but like it can't be like a.
I'm the biggest Atari fan in the world.
Yeah,
but you can make fun of Atari because. Listen, the Atari console, I hate it's dead. Like, people aren't talking about Centipede. They're talking about, whatever.
They're talking about Millipede.
They're talking about...
Right. People aren't talking about Centipede.
Man, Millipede's great. Fuck you.
People are talking about Centipede no more.
I'm going to change that.
Yeah, you're bringing it back.
I want the top comment to be about Millipede.
Yeah, but by the same token, people aren't talking about Frogger anymore, but they're talking about Crossy Road.
Which is the same fucking thing.
It's the same fucking thing.
Or there's the Disney Crossy Road.
Yeah, Disney Crossy Road, where you can play Frogger as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Or like Lightning McQueen.
You know what pisses me off about that? I had that on my phone. You can get Donald Duck, but you can't get Scrooge McDuck? What the fuck is that? What the fuck?
You should write them a letter.
Come on,
like a mail letter, like with stamps on it.
Did we talk about they need to finish the game Starfox 2?
It's finished.
When it comes out on this, it'll be finished.
No, it was finished.
Oh, it was.
The copy that's in public is like almost finished, but the game was finished.
Okay, so they have the finished one.
Yeah, so it's a new game.
Okay.
Is that why it costs $20 more? Why does it cost $20 more?
Because it's super.
Because there's more plastic in the Super Nintendo controller.
You know why? Because the cords are a little bit longer. Because we all bitched.
Yeah,
that the cords weren't
like you want longer cords. Well, guess what?
You want
$20 more.
You want more fucking cords?
Here you go.
Pay up, asshole.
Pay up, asshole. There you go. No, so we'll take 2, please.
Yeah,